38. Hello. Hello. How you doing? Moving right along. They feel proud. They feel proud of these bright-eyed group of people congratulating himself. They feel proud that with their support he has let himself go and show him much affection and physical warmth to reaffirm how much more of a worthy person he seems to them now. Not only does the man experience the relief of expressing his tensions, but he earns the social approval of his peers. He feels bound to them because they shared with him his deepest feelings. He feels gratitude and love. He may never have met them before, and were he to be in a relationship with one of them, he might well be experiencing and repressing the very kinds of negative emotions, hostility, envy, insecurity, that he has expressed in front of them and been rewarded for. Yet, the emotional atmosphere and the safe, sheltered environment leaves him feeling only love and trust. A more intense experience of the same ilk occurs on EST weekends. EST, always spelt in lowercase, because supposedly that, like EST itself, is not pretentious, is a technique designed to change the quality of life. Developed by an ex-salesman, Warner Earhart. It is not a therapy nor a religion. In groups of 250, over a long weekend spent sitting, for much of the time, on hard seats, and with the minimum of breaks to go to the bathroom or eat, the participants are worked on by the trainers to realize that they are wasting their lives trying to live up to expectations of what they should be, instead of accepting that they are what they are. And that is what's happening now, that what is happening now is of their own making, and that there is nothing to try to be anyway. Individuals are invited to share experiences and griefs, which the trainer will then knock down and ridicule in an effort to make the person see what a mess he is making of his life. Well, geez, maybe that's why you fuck up. I mean, part of this is true. The ultimate big, high, super-duper spiritual realization at last is, yes, there's really nothing to be. But at the same time, you are being and choosing and doing and living as you are, so be what you are, I guess. These are true. But what happens here? Why does the trainer have to do all that? I don't know. This doesn't make much sense to me. I guess the world is just full of half-truths, and we have to find a way to go. Attacks can be aggressive enough to make people vomit. Vomit bags are provided, and get headaches and backaches. The participants carry out special exercises designed to make them see and like themselves for what they are. Most eventually get it, the EST word for insight. At the end of the weekend, after sharing all the public humiliation and personal anxiety and stress, participants commonly feel a tremendous warmth towards and bond with each other. Many people feel they have a new radical perspective on their lives, one that is shared by the in-group, the EST graduates, and not by the out-group, everyone outside. Elements of EST are obviously very similar to the bad guys' mode of thought reform, particularly in the revolutionary colleges where students were obliged to confess their sins and experience public humiliation. They interpreted their relief after confession as proof of the rightness of the new way. Such group methods seem to generate not independence from certain debilitating emotional block, but dependence on the environment where the block was unblocked. Very many people become group habituates, seeking the warmth that comes from soul-bearing. EST graduates can attend more and more courses, Although it might be wondered that if they had got it the first time, why did they have to come back and get it again? Hello? Because it was ineffective, inappropriate teaching. Or, more pertinently, what is it that they were really getting in the first place? The therapeutic environment, traditional or modern, would seem not to be influence-free. The modus operandi can generate specific emotions or encourage specific reactions. Behavioralist B.F. Skinner goes even further and maintains that if therapy could be influence-free, it would merely foster the illusion that a client was self-directing. Foster the illusion that a client was self-directing? What's wrong with that? In a dialogue with Carl Roberts, he responds to Roberts' claim that client-centered therapy, where the client expresses exactly what he likes and the therapist simply listens, is the answer to therapeutic control. And who is speaking? Carl Rogers! We like Carl Rogers. What evidence is there that a client ever becomes truly self-directing? What evidence is there that he ever makes a truly inner choice or ideal or goal? Even if the therapist does not do the choosing, even though he encourages self-actualization, he is not out of control as long as he holds himself ready to step in when occasion demands. When, for example, the client chooses the goal of becoming a more accomplished liar or murdering his boss. But supposing the therapist does withdraw completely, or is no longer necessary, what about all the other forces acting upon the client? Is the self-chosen goal independent of his early ethical and religious training? Of the folk wisdom of his group? Of the opinions and attitudes of others who are more important to him? Surely not. The therapeutic situation is only a small part of the world of the client. From the therapist's point of view, it may appear to be possible to relinquish control. But the control passes not to a self, but to forces in other parts of the client's world. The solution of the therapist's problem of power cannot be our solution, for we must consider all of the forces acting upon the individual. It's one thing that always boggles my mind, kind of funky. Why? So like you're a parent, you got a troubled child, and you're trying to help them. And I'm not talking severe trouble. Well, it might be severe trouble. What I hate is whenever the child goes there to get the help, learns tools for self-management, anger, and conflict resolution, and they learn all these good things. But then they still live in the abusive home that caused all their problems to begin with. And so when the child says to the folks, yo, dudes, we can handle it a different way, what's the first thing those mean, evil, nasty parents will say to the kid? Oh, you're the crazy one, what do you know? They do that. They do that, they do that, they do that. How idiotic. How fucking idiotic. Humans. Now, moving on to the next professional. Ow, my neck hurts. It's because I complain too much. The hard sell. Advertising, by its nature, is designed to influence. While that is no surprise, the industry has taken itself increasingly seriously over the last decade, trying to find new, more effective, and more subtle ways to sell the products it is paid to sell. Some of the appeals that are made through advertising aim for the same emotional weak spots that have been seen to make people vulnerable to influence in other, unrelated spheres. There is, for instance, the familiar appeal to authority figures. Men in white coats eulogize the virtues of a particular denture cleaner or cough medicine because they summon up associations with doctors and scientists, professional men who know what they're talking about. If many people who watch advertisements believe they are immune to such rather transparent sales tactics, they are as immune to the same sell when it is used by newspapers, or are they as immune to the same sell when it is used by newspapers? If a journalist is writing an article about gossip or the sex appeal of hair preparations, he is quite likely trying to ring or to be told or told, boom, trying to ring, or to be told by his editor to ring a psychologist or psychiatrist for informed opinion on why gossiping can be a useful thing to do, or why certain smells on the hair can be sexually arousing. The psychiatrist or psychologist who finds himself on the end of the telephone talking to the journalist may well, you know what this is? This is filler. This is goddamn filler. Your editor said not enough words. Okay, so could you add like 50 useless words to describe your simple encounter, please? Okay, sorry. It's fucking annoying. Why do people have to use so many words? Okay. Finds himself on the end of the telephone, might have no particular expertise on the matter, as why should he, but I will probably be willing to offer some common sense suggestions that in an insurance salesman, an architect or a journalist himself could easily have supplied. However, because the words are said by a psychiatrist or psychologist who is an expert in knowing how people take the sentiments take on an accepting ring of authority acceptable to the journalist, editor, and the people who read it. Thank you. Who is to say, therefore, whether the advertisement viewer unconsciously endows the white coat promoter of cough mixture with expertise worthy of respect? Unconsciously. Okay. The housewife who promotes the cough mixture can only say her children like it and will get well quicker, etc. We will not let her get away with saying, I know this works because I tested it in laboratories. So the housewife is only allowed to say this, I know it works because I tested it. Well, we wouldn't let her say that because she's a housewife. Superficially, adverts can be seen to appeal to the universal thirst for social approval, provided by having a car, house, freezer, stereo system, or drought-proofing that is at least as good as, but preferably better than one's neighbor's. But much more goes into the planning of advertisement strategies than capitalization on people's inquisitive instincts. Advertising is almost a science. Van Packard describes the growth in sophisticated advertising adjuncts in The People Shapers. First came demographics, whereby the population is segmented according to age, income, education, occupation, ethnical background, size of family, etc., in order to identify the best prospects for a product. But that was not refined enough, says Packard. He says, and how shall he say it? I think I'll say it like this. Today, many ambitious marketers consider demographics just the beginning. They call next for psychographics. Enter the behavior specialists. He said. The behavioral specialists then build psychological profiles of each target group. This time, people are grouped according to their interests, lifestyles, status aspirations, self-image, attitude, fears, and prejudices. Alan R. Nelson, one enthusiast of psychographics that Packard mentions, discovered that the best way to sell decorated toilet paper, hardly an essential in life, was to make the most of a finding that guests instinctively study bathrooms to pick up information about their hosts. The bathroom, therefore, takes on new import. Doesn't that seem like common knowledge? And it did. It must have, well, of course it was done in my time. I grew up with this brainwashing. That's why people always have guest towels and hand soaps, and you weren't supposed to use them. My grandmother had one, had a bathroom nobody was allowed to use. Ooh. I know I'm going to finish this book today. Oh, and And I don't have to start a new character either on my long dark. We can just pretend. Because I got to play this character until I make 500 days. I want that badge. I also want that gosh darn Windwalker badge. I want my badges. And this character's got to get them. And you can just pretend we've already read all the books, damn it. Because I am not giving up level 5 archery. No. No. I'm not doing it. Look, we still have Black Rock, Zone of Contamination, Timberwolf Mountain, and Ash Canyon, and Bleak Inlet to do. So, it'll still be quite new to me. Alright. Sorry. It is almost the soul laid bare. Such or any minor weaknesses an individual may have will most likely be betrayed by its manifestation in the bathroom. Decorated toilet paper was concluded to be one good solution to this dilemma of modern life. Not all examples of the advertising psychologist at work are so amusing, or perhaps harmless. One consultant told a toy manufacturer's convention that their advertising should be geared towards stirring up the guilt of the working parents. If both parents were out at work all day, they were likely to feel nagging worries that perhaps they were neglecting their child, and would need to find ways to help square their consciousness. How better than to buy the child special treats? The consultant said that such guilt could be exploited all year round. It didn't have seasonal limitations like Christmas. Successful attitude influencers, in whatever context they are working, need to discover what it is that motivates individuals most, either to take steps to achieve something or to avoid something. Just as the bad guys and police interrogators have to discover the basic personality traits and weaknesses of the individuals and tailor their technique to home in on them, so advertising at its most sophisticated must analyze prospective markets into ever refined categories for the same purpose. It is not enough to aim at girls over 14 but under 21. Better to focus on 14 to 21-year-olds who come from strict homes, or bothered about their weight, or feel guilty about self-indulgence, not these days, and pitch the sales talk accordingly. Just as confession may bring relief from anxiety, so may buying a particular product. That they know. Well, it may be comfortable to believe that advertisers are probably not half so successful in their sell as they would like to think they are. It is worth remembering that an audience may well aid the advertisers by its will to be deceived. Although the message has been put across ad nauseum by doctors in consultations and in magazine columns that there is no way to lose weight except diet. Every new fad pill or slimming machine that purports to shift inches is gratefully seized upon by the overweight, in their desperation to find a solution that removes responsibility from themselves. Much product appeal is based on the fact that you don't have to make the effort to achieve the required results. This is so true. I used to take Dextrim after my first baby. I wanted to lose all that baby fat. So I took the Dextrim. And man, it made me such a focused worker. It made me such a go-getter at that job. And then one day I didn't have it because I'd lost the weight that I wanted to lose. And I was happy about that. And I was irritable. I couldn't do And it was right around that time they were pulling Dextrim off the shelves because it had actual speed in it. And I was on speed. I tell you what, I like that kind of thing. That's sad. So I don't do drugs. Because I've got that kind of personality. I suggest my children don't do drugs. Don't drink. I don't drink. Okay, here we go. Adverts do not have to be subtle in content in order to be subtle in effect. By pure repetition, an association may be conditioned between brand name and a product or song. In some cases, with such success that the brand name becomes interchangeable with the product. Thus we talk about Hoovers, Xerox machines, and Burrios. If advertisers, I could have said Kleenex, I don't even know what a burro is. If advertisers can encourage belief in their brand, they are probably home and dry. If advertisers can encourage belief in their brand, they're probably home and dry. Belief in the name, like free and clear. Belief in the name may be enough to make it work. Doctors at Yale University tested the effect of branding on 835 women who frequently suffered from headaches. The women were given either a particularly well-known anesthetic or placebo. Some of the women received the analgesic in a package with the brand name on it. Others received them in packets without a name. The placebos were also distributed in brand name or no-name packets. The doctors found that the greatest headache relief was provided by the brand name tablets when they were supplied in the branded packets to some who normally use those anyway. If they didn't have their name on the packet, they weren't so effective, even amongst women who normally used them. Oh yeah, we gotta stop this video. We'll stop this video right there. Women who usually used other brands got more relief from the brand name pills when they didn't know what they were, i.e. if they were given no-name packets. The placebos brought a fair amount of relief, both when provided in branded and unbranded packages, but less than either the branded or unbranded analgesic. But we're not going to break it down. We are just going to finish this book. That's be that. Coming back in a minute.